Hey guys, welcome to episode 2 of my fitness journey, a journey to the past. This is so exciting, and for anybody who listened, we got so many plays for the first episode, and I just want to say thank you guys so much for giving a shit. For actually taking the time and wanting to listen to what I have to say is honestly insane to me, and it just makes me feel so appreciative for you guys. And sorry, I got distracted by something, but yeah, with that being said, in today's podcast, it's episode 2. So in this episode, we're going to be going into how I got into bodybuilding and competing in the bikini division in bodybuilding, the dark side of bodybuilding a little bit, why I stopped, and how I ended up coaching and getting to where I am now. So with that being said, let's get into it, and hoping the audio sounds good, but let's get into it. So going off from the first episode, I believe we ended around my college years, right? So I had gained a bunch of weight, and I had basically fallen into this cycle of yo-yo dieting, right? So losing the weight just to gain it all back, right? And then just constantly being in that cycle. I literally only cared about losing weight when something would come up. Like if I knew I was going to be going to the beach, or if I knew that we had a vacation coming up, or if it was spring break, or whatever it was, right? That's the only time I ever really cared about my body or physical health or anything like that, which is funny. But because I didn't have I didn't have any sustainable why. I didn't have a deep why for what I was doing, then my consistency was short-lived as well. So this yo-yo diet cycle began for a year to 2 years. And then something really shitty happened to me, guys. I kind of posted about this on my social media before, but when I was around 19 years old, at this gym in my hometown, it's called University Fitness. I really don't give a shit to say the name. The owner basically put his hands on me. I mean, it was weeks of sexual harassment, but I was so young, guys, and I was so naive. And at that age, I really was whatever. He's an old, dirty old man, whatever, until he actually put his hands on me. And I'm not going to get into depth on what actually happened, but essentially it kind of just ruined everything for me, in the sense of what once was my safe space was now a triggering space, right? Kind of felt like he had taken that away from me. And from then, I really just fell off my journey altogether. And it took me a little while to get back up. But when I did get back on it, I literally was I'm fucking tired of feeling lazy and undisciplined. I'm so tired of feeling just stuck, you know what I mean? Just always in this cycle of on track, off track, trying to be healthy or whatever, but not really getting any results for it, or not really feeling like I'm actually progressing. It just always feels like I'm stuck in this cycle, right? Now, you have to understand, guys, that your fitness journey is never going to be a linear process. Even when you have a coach, even when you're actually progressing, you will still have periods where you feel like you've regressed. But trust me, I knew damn well and sure that it was literally ridiculous. I'm talking 3 months on and then 2 to 3 months off, and I would just fall off track, and it was just crazy yo-yo dieting. So with that being said, I at the same time was watching a lot of bikini prep vlogs on YouTube. I was specifically watching Buff Bunny. She's Heidi Summers, the owner of Buff Bunny Collection, and she had a bunch of bikini prep videos going on. And it just inspired me. I was so inspired by the work she was putting in. And then I got really just in love with the idea of competing. I was her discipline is insane. Her body looks insane. I just loved the glam of bikini, being on stage. And I was I've got to do this. I want to do this. I feel like I need an extreme, not in the sense of restricting and doing a lot of cardio and coming from a place of self-hatred, but I needed to activate that inner athlete in me again. And I didn't know how to do that solely in the gym. And I didn't know shit about nutrition either, right? So I hired a coach. My first coach at the time, she was so amazing. She was so sweet. She taught me about my macronutrients, taught me how to track my macros and, flexible dieting. And once I learned how to track my macros, my relationship with food healed tremendously, because a big part of me yo-yo dieting was because I always told myself, I can't have that. I shouldn't eat that. Or I would just fall into the all or nothing mindset so heavily, because if a food item didn't line up with what I thought in my brain was going to get me results, then I would completely just self-sabotage and just reset over and over and over again. So learning how to track my macros really allowed me to see that I can have these foods, right? I can have foods that I love, and I can still get results as long as I'm hitting my macros, right? So that was monumental for me. And yeah, I did my first show with her, and then, it was a really cheap coach, really, really, really cheap. She had hundreds and hundreds of clients, and she was so sweet, but literally, I was just, I just felt like I needed more attention, a little bit more hands-on guidance. And I also just wanted a little bit more of a connection with my coach. So then I went on to, this other coach had approached me at my show, but he was super nice. And obviously I would never, it was nothing sleazy or anything like that. I ended with my coach, and he was the next best choice. So went with him, Brandon from Team Fit Destiny, my dog, but he's only in person. And, again, this was back then, guys, but one of the best coaches I ever had. Taught me so much, and was just such an amazing bodybuilding coach. There's so many shitty, narcissistic bodybuilding coaches out there who don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They can get you shredded, but insanely unhealthy, and they're just so narcissistic. I've seen so many, so I was just so grateful to actually have a coach that was normal and cared about me, and also take into account the fact that I'm a woman and, have a period, and to take care of my hormones. So I was always natural, never anything like that. But when you're getting very, very lean, obviously it's not good for your body at all. I lost my period for a very long period of time, and it was not a good time, but, he did his best. Moving on, I went on to compete for 3.5 years, I believe. And I did 5 shows. And I placed really, really well on all of them. I got first place in my first show. I got third place in my second show. Then I got with my coach, and then I got second place. And then, actually, no, it was 3 shows. Wow. It's crazy when you're looking back, you can forget certain things. But yeah, I did 3 shows total. You guys have to understand too that there was a long period of time. I mean, the way that a lot of people like to do is doing shows back to back to back, but everybody's competition journey is different. Sometimes if you get feedback from judges, you want to take some time to work on those weaknesses before you come back. So yeah, guys, my goal when I was in bikini bodybuilding, I wanted to go pro. Basically, going pro means to get your IFBB pro card. So basically, there's the amateur league, which is the NPC, which is the NPC. What does it stand for again? I believe it stands for shit, how the hell did I forget? National Physique Committee. Hello. And then the IFBB is the pro league. So it's the International Federation of Bodybuilders, and that's the pro league. Okay, that's where you want to make it. Okay, and then more than that, I wanted to become Miss Bikini Olympia. I for real envisioned myself Miss Bikini Olympia, brand deals, traveling the world, being such an amazing influence on girls and women, embodying the bikini division, which is very much at the time, very fitness meets pageantry. So that was so me. That's what I loved. I was going to be into pageants when I was younger. I've always loved being on stage. I was a cheerleader. It's what I was meant to do. And it's also something that I want to do in the future. It's just as a businesswoman is be on stage. I've always been just drawn to the stage no matter what it is, right? It wasn't even getting shredded that really attracted me, which is funny because a lot of people see bodybuilders' bodies and they want to bodybuild, right? But for me, I saw the stage and I was like, damn, I want to bodybuild. You know what I mean? Like, I was obsessed with the posing. I wanted to be a posing coach. I actually was doing posing coaching for a little bit. I was obsessed with like just posing. I was so obsessed with that because it just allowed you to really present yourself. There's so many women in the in the community, they'll get shredded, but they're posing so bad and like their presentation is shitty. And not to be mean, but I've seen shows and it's like bad. And again, not to be judgmental or anything, but if you need to improve on something, you got to improve on something, right? And that is a big part of your percentage of winning in bodybuilding, especially in bikini. Moving on, I competed, for 3 shows. My goal was Miss Bikini Olympia. I went to the Olympia. I envisioned it. I felt it. That's what I wanted. Then it just took a turn, okay? So let's get a little into that. And this is going to kind of go into more of the darker side of bodybuilding, okay? That they definitely do not talk about enough. There's some pros that are really open about it, but a lot who aren't. So one of those things being is the normalized disordered eating and the normalized, I'm going to get a lot of I'm not going to put that out there, but I was going to say I'm going to get a lot of, backfire for this, but I don't really care. But, there's a lot of drug use as well. You know what I mean? And I don't really care what people do with their bodies. Like, you do you. Like, I don't really give a fuck what you do. But it's so normalized. And to me, it's like, I get it because like you're in love with the sport. Like if you guys are not in the bodybuilding community, like you won't understand. But people who are in the bodybuilding community, when you understand certain things, like people, like it's like Victoria's Secret wings. You would do anything. You know what I mean? You would do anything for that pro card, anything to be on the top. I wasn't about to do anything to get to the top. Okay. So my coach at the time, he had introduced me. He's like, I had a great genetic foundation on top of hard work, on top of, building up my body, building up my physique over 2 years, okay, of competing. And he sits me down and he goes, all right, Lexi, you ready to go to the dark side? I said, what you talk about, the dark side? What do you mean? He's like, the dark side. And I'm like, what is that? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, basically like drugs, you know what I mean? Like certain drugs that you take in order to improve the definition of your muscle. You're taking basically hormones, you know what I mean? And, there are people in the bodybuilding community who do it in a quote unquote healthy way, right? Like they're tracking their hormones, they're making sure that they're healthy and cool. By all means, you go do that. But I was like, I'm in the bikini division. Why do I need to take male hormone? Like, I'm confused. And he was like, listen, Lex, like if you want to be a pro, you need to take something. Like, and every coach will tell you that most of the time. Like actually like some won't, but like a majority will. And I was just like so discouraged. Like I understood where he was coming from, but at the same time, I was the type of athlete where I wouldn't have minded putting in 2 years of an off season. By the way, an off season is essentially like a building phase. Okay. It's basically off season. Like you're off from constantly cutting. You're off from prep. I wouldn't have minded putting in 2 years off to build up my body. And then, it obviously would have took me a lot longer. It just would have took me a lot longer to get to where I want to be. So I understood where he was coming from, but like, I wouldn't have minded, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't in a rush. So it kind of just put a bad taste in my mouth. And, from there, I was just kind of turned off, you know what I mean? So after that, like I said, I was just kind of turned off because it was just like a lot going through my head. And it kind of just made me realize that, damn, if this is the route that the bikini division is going down, that, we have to, and I get it. Listen, I get it. Trust me. If you're not in the bodybuilding community, you won't get it, but like, maybe you do, but they take that shit because the bikini division, wellness, whatever, like once you get to the pro level, it's very hard to pick you apart, so it gives you that edge, you know what I mean? But I just wasn't down to do that. My voice is already deep, bro. Like, I'm gonna literally sound like fucking Hulk if I took that shit. But moving on, guys, my why kind of shifted. Like, my why just like really shifted after that. I felt like, you know what? I started bodybuilding, and I have a YouTube video about this. I'm literally crying on the phone with my man, and he's like giving me advice, and like I'm literally like, you know, boogers and everything. And before I get into this, I forgot to totally mention that competing also kind of just brought back up a lot of disordered eating, in the sense of it brought kind of back like my binge eating and my restricting. The reason being is because obviously after you get very lean, guys, and you get to a very low body fat level and you're dieting for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on end, you're gonna get burnt out. Like, all you're doing is, it's kind of like the culture, right? Especially for rookies. Pros are a lot better at managing this. And obviously, as I got experience in bodybuilding, I learned how to manage, you know, the post-show binging better. I knew what to do, what not to do. But what a lot of people do, no matter the division, is like get really shredded, and then after your show have a post-show binge, right? It's like, I get pizza and cake and cookies. That's like the number one thing you should not fucking do, but nobody tells you that, bro. Like, nobody tells you that. Like, if I was a coach, I would literally be like, sorry, like, I know you want that treat. Maybe have one sweet thing, one savory thing, and call it a fucking night. Don't go to the dollar store and get a bunch of shit. And then, like, I was literally with ape shit every single time. And even when I tried to manage my post-show binging more, my hunger hormones were so shot that, like, I literally would black out. And, like, I swear to God, one night I had like 20 Nutella sandwiches. Like, I'm not even fucking kidding. And every show I would rebound. Now, what rebounding is basically when you rebound your weight. So, like, you basically gain all the weight back and then some in a very short period of time, very rapidly. So I would gain like 15 pounds in a month, 20 pounds in a month. It would be worse if I even went on vacation right after your show. Like, you should not be going on vacation right after a show, if you're an amateur, you know what I mean? But yeah, guys, I would just rebound and gain a bunch of weight really, really fast. And it wasn't a good feeling, guys. And then I would restrict and then binge, and I was like, oh my God. So that paired with the introduction to the dark side or whatever, just kind of like, I just started to outgrow bodybuilding. I love bodybuilding. It was such an amazing and impactful part of my life. I may even compete again just for me and just for the fuck of it, and not really with the purpose of, you know, I mean, who knows? Never say never, right? I really did love competing, and I probably won't compete for a long time. But those certain things just made me shift my path. It just naturally shifted my path. I vlogged my entire prep journey on YouTube. So if you guys want to see like the shit that I went through, my hard work, getting really lean, I did that on my YouTube. I will say that if you're someone who struggles with eating disorder, I wouldn't watch it because that's not the way you should be going about things. Obviously, I am coached. It's a controlled environment, and we know what the fuck we're doing. So don't try to copy a bodybuilder's diet and cardio to try to get that lean, because especially on your own, it will backfire. But yeah, guys, it just got really bad in terms of like my binge eating. I remember even like crying to my coach, and like he was trying to help me, but it really wasn't even psychological. I think a lot of the times with binge eating, we think it's psychological, like we think it's in our control. But if you're constantly dieting and restricting, obviously it's in our control. But in bodybuilding specifically, when you get really, really fucking lean, like I said, it's a hormonal thing at that point. Like your body is trying to really gain that weight back. And like I said, it's not like it can't be controlled, but honestly, if you've never gone through it, then you really will think that you got this until you go through it. But yeah, so my why kind of shifted, and I was like, you know what? I started bodybuilding for me. It was all about me, about winning, about becoming Miss Bikini Olympia, getting brand deals, you know, having a platform. I still have my platform, but it's just different, right? And I was like, you know what? Like, going through that binge eating again brought me back to those things that I went through, the feelings and everything that I had went through pre-bodybuilding, right? Like the yo-yo dieting, the restricting, the binge eating. And I was like, I want to help more women overcome this because they can and they will with the right support, right? So I basically, what I did was, it's very tempting when you gain a lot of weight very fast to want to try and like go cut again. And I was really tempted to do that, but I literally, and especially because I felt so uncomfortable in my body, I didn't take pictures. I was obsessed with body checking. I was always putting up a video camera, checking how I looked from all angles. Like, it was very compulsive. And I literally got to the point, guys, where I looked at myself in the mirror, 20 pounds heavier, and I hugged my body. I made eye contact with myself in the mirror, and I was like, I love you. I'm choosing to love you. I'm choosing to love my body now. I am choosing to love you now. I am choosing to not hate you. And I remember literally breaking down in tears because I actually was so sorry to my body for the way that I treated her. Yes, I talk about my body as a separate entity, as her, she, whatever. And I literally was like, I'm so sorry for treating you this way to my body. Like, I literally just felt so much compassion and grace and forgiveness toward my body and myself. I'm like, I'm sorry for putting you through this to try to get super shredded, whatever. And I was like, I'm no longer choosing to hate you for my choices. So a lot of times we hate our bodies, but we also don't have the habits to back it up. You know what I mean? Yes, even if you quote unquote eat healthy and go to the gym, but yeah, if you're still having those habits, nothing's going to change. You know what I mean? So I chose to love myself before I lost the weight. Okay. And guys, guess what? By choosing to love myself at where I was, heavy, uncomfortable, unhealthy, excuse me, I was actually able to then be okay with not losing weight right now. Like, I was actually okay with actually taking a period of time to eat at maintenance, not worry about restricting and trying to cut the fat that I gained and trying to put myself back in these cycles. I knew the only way to break this cycle is to fucking stop trying to lose the weight or try to undo things or try to restrict or do cardio, whatever, to try to undo what I'm doing. And I have to be able to be comfortable with what I see in the mirror now in order for those compulsive feelings to go away, right? And I'm not saying they went away altogether, but they weren't as bad. They were more controllable, okay? The cool part is that while I literally just focused on eating at maintenance, not restricting, lifting in the gym, still getting in my steps, still getting in my water, doing cardio like twice a week for 30 minutes just for like heart health and shit. I literally, my body, the weight fell off like naturally. That's the crazy part. And I felt so much better. And then later on, I actually did do a cut and it was healthy and I was normal and I was able to reverse. And now that brings me to where I am now, guys. And right now, I would say I am my dream self. Like, I literally, obviously I still have more goals. I'm not at my fullest potential, but I am the woman that I wanted to be when I was 19. And that is so happy to say. It makes me so happy to hear. Okay. And if you're someone right now in the pursuit of that, you have to have a big picture vision. You have to be able to look in the mirror now and love yourself now and learn to give yourself that unconditional love now. Because if you only believe that you can only love yourself, you're only desirable when you lose 30 pounds or whatever, then once you lose 30 pounds, you're still going to find something wrong with you. Trust me. As someone who's been at her most shredded self, you will still find something wrong with you. It's a self-love issue, not necessarily like your body. I mean, I don't want to say that because I do think that, when you're unhealthy and you don't feel good, that, that affects you, but you still can choose to love your body where it's at now and still improve on yourself, right? So now let's say where I am now, I have a healthy relationship with food. I still track my macros here and there, depending on my goals. I still struggle with under eating and things like that here and there, just like anybody else, but I'm still in that pursuit of becoming my best fucking self every day. So what are my goals now? Well, now, I basically from where I was in my bodybuilding journey and starting my business, now we're helping hundreds of women, not right now currently, but over time, we've helped hundreds of women make that positive impact in their life, heal their relationship with food, break those binge restrict cycles, actually learn to eat regularly and actually lose fat, gain muscle, keep it off, and become that version of themselves that we envision in our mind, right? And if you need that, if you're listening to your, like, I need that, let's hop on a call. Like, literally apply for one-on-one coaching. Like, literally, there will be any excuse in the book if you want to, but I couldn't do it on my own. I literally could not do it on my own, guys. I had coaches. And right now, I'm at the point where I have my business. And earlier this year, I even fell in the habit of actually putting my business on the back burner. Like, and not my business, my health on the back burner. Like, earlier this year, I literally put my health on the back burner, and I was like, my health and fitness aren't a priority. My work is a priority. And guys, that literally backfired so bad. I lost so much muscle. I gained, some unhealthy weight. Okay, a lot of inflammation. I felt sluggish, lazy all the fucking time. Okay. And what it looked like is I was under eating during the week. I was sedentary during the week. I was going to the gym sporadically, not really pushing myself. And then on the weekends, I would overeat in restaurant foods and alcohol. So that's how I kind of gained the weight. It wasn't anything crazy, but I didn't feel good. And it was very rapid too. So the reason I say that is because, yes, I'm advanced and where I am now is great. But earlier this year, I fell off, So your fitness journey is a never-ending journey till the day you die, literally. It's not like you get to your dream body and that's it. You can just fuck off. Like, no, like it's a forever maintaining thing. And you have to be in it for the long run, right? So now I'm in a really good place. And now my goal is to basically just be consistent in my current programming, being consistent with my macros, being consistent with training in the gym, being consistent with, my water intake, my sleep, right? That's kind of like where my focus is. And really just focusing on consistency. That's the number one thing for me. Consistency with my programming, like everything I said. And my goal right now is to build muscle and to build strength. And like I said, just become my best fucking self. And yeah, who knows? Maybe I will compete again. Maybe I won't. But for now, I'm loving where I'm at. And all I want to do is continue to stay consistent, continue to build my body, my mind, my soul, our community, my business, everything just building up. That's really what I want for myself. So with that being said, guys, thank you so much for being here with me. If you loved this podcast, make sure to like, share, leave a review. It really does support me. Share it with a friend. I have a YouTube channel as well. You can look up Flexi Fitness 1 at Flexi Fitness 1 on YouTube, or Life as Lex. That's my YouTube channel. Shingamedig. I don't know. But yeah, I'm trying to get back into vlogging and really just documenting my life. So if you want to support me, awesome. And thank you for being here, guys. If there's anything, a specific topic you want me to talk about or harp on, let me know. And yeah, thanks for being here with me. Bye, ladies or guys.